Heyo, what is up everyone? It is the Alpha J of the Alpha J show, and let's talk about Fairly Odd Parents. Despite doing a 30-minute video on Fairly Odd Parents, I contemplated on if I really wanted to take on another big Fairly Odd Parents project, and through a combination of wanting to do a positive review on Fairly Odd Parents and wanting to do a TV movie and already announcing it, I decided, yeah, let's talk about Channel Chasers. Released in season 4 of Fairly Odd Parents, this is one of 4 television movies released in the pre-hiatus or classic Fairly Odd Parents run after Abracatastrophe and before School's Out, the musical, and Fairly Idol. I don't know what would be my favorite, but I do remember liking this one a lot growing up, so let's get into this review. Before we start, I want to shout out T-Blocks for being a sponsor of mine. They are a monthly subscription service that sends you amazing merchandise, and they don't have a monthly box. They don't have like an October box or a November box. What you get is personalized towards your interests. They have in-house artists and external artists, and they even support them. I went on their website and I saw that if you wanted to become an artist for them, you could. They are very, very close-knit with their community. They reached out to me a few weeks ago and they sent me a few of their shirts, and I can personally say that they're really good and they look really nice. So if you are a fan of animation and you want 10% off your first month and you want to support the channel, use the code ALPHAJTBX, all one word, for 10% off your first month. And here's the best part. If you don't like the shirt or if you don't like the design, you can actually send it back. You can exchange it. But let's get into the review. We start out with this elaborate opening scene, which is the same technique used in Wishology and some other Fairly Odd Parents TV movies. It's just to build up that this is not your normal episode of Fairly Odd Parents, and although being way too short, the different perspective changes as well as the smooth integration of 3D or 2.5D elements combined with the beautiful music composed only in the way that any other cartoon lover knows is the classic Fairly Odd Parents style. This all makes a brief but effective way to start off the special. We also start 20 years into the future, covering their butt just in case they get dated quick. We see a blonde with braces and a bald, dark-colored man driving away from an enemy force. In this futuristic, dystopian timeline, they zoom past the remains of the Turner household that was blown to bits. They're obviously future Chester and future AJ driving away from this masked gentleman. I'm sure it isn't anything. He's probably informing AJ that his fly is down or something. Let's see. They zoom past some notable parts of what is left of Dimsdale. They don't forget the comedy, showing here that AJ and Chester blast the school that taught them. Well, one more than the other. I do enjoy the blend technique that they're trying to use to create depth. It isn't mastered here, and School's Out does this concept much better, but I'm not reviewing that in this video. Maybe a future one if I get around to it or if someone requests it. So Chester lets AJ go off to do whatever he's doing with said chip in said lab. However, the hoverboard this mysterious figure is using ends up following suit.
Now I know why I never got these things taken off.
Those braces are stronger than my future, at least on here. Also, they find a way to make the characters rooted in their original personalities. Chester gets caught with the seeds of the Butch Hartman school of And Then the Opposite Happens, and AJ makes it back to his dystopian home. AJ gets really close to placing the processor chip onto the belt to travel back in time and prevent whatever happened here to create this timeline. Unfortunately, he gets stopped by the chasing hoverboard.
Last 2 apprehended, Your Majesty.
No, there's still one more. But now that I have the time travel belt, I know exactly where to find him in the past. And once I find him, there will be no one left to stop me. Me, Vicky, supreme ruler of the earth.
This was awesome. Everything about this was well handled perfectly. It never felt like it was taking itself too seriously. The backgrounds during this action sequence were great and it didn't feel bland. The twist at the end was handled to be a twist because it could have been anyone. It could have been Crocker or even a new villain like in Wishology. We come back to present day Dimsdale with present day Vicky, giving the whole being evil but loving being evil and treating it as one would treat helping people type of deal. It would then cut over to Chet You Betcha, who is giving an entire speech about the terrors of video games. He would show direct examples of people imitating moves they saw on TV. I mean, look at this dweeb, what did he expect? It's a brick wall that only goes one way. He kinda deserves where he lands. I do notice from an animation perspective that they're using a lot of fading between two people doing the same things, or using a small object to transition into another scene. It's pretty cool. If you went to the Butch Hartman school of And Then the Opposite Happens, you'd know that when Chet You Betcha is happy, that he knows that no one can imitate this large, deaf, flying machine in the sky, that someone, our main character, can imitate this large, deaf machine flying through the sky. Timmy gets in trouble because Timmy, and wishes for the bonsai bubble that will deflect him from this plane, not even making a change in course for the plane. And they set up that Mr. Turner will be winning for cleanest office. But if you went to the Butch Hartman school of And Then the Opposite Happens, you would know that he is in fact not winning for cleanest office, but his rival Dinkelberg does. This is pretty much what happened in It's a Wishful Life, an episode that I rewrote, except Timmy was not doing a good deed here. Timmy's mom is in the final stages of selling a hard-to-sell glass house, and says that as soon as she hands the keys over, it isn't her issue anymore. But if you went to the Butch Hartman school of And Then the Opposite Happens, you would know that she's in fact not going to sell this hard-to-sell glass house. And that's what happens. Timmy crashes into it, and both of their days are ruined.
Honey, our son just bounced wildly through my office, destroying everything! You seen him?
Yes, and he just destroyed the house I was about to sell!
Do you always communicate to people by holding their arms? You weirdo. Timmy's parents are obviously not in support of his actions.
It's Dictator Week on the Biographical Channel, Channel 298 on Philadelphia Cable. See if you have what it takes to be a dictator.
Yes, Timmy, don't watch this show where you can imitate hurting people. Watch this show where you can gather other people to hurt other people. I'm joking, this is most likely a symbol of what's to come from Vicky later. But one thing I really like in classic Fairly Oddparents is that the characters are okay with being flung across a space. Like here, when Timmy's parents get thrown across the room. His parents understandably ground him from TV, using Vicky as an enforcer. Timmy doesn't want Vicky around, but his parents are as ignorant as they are, and they don't see any trouble with leaving Vicky alone with their son Timmy.
No! Don't leave me with her! She's evil! Would an evil person bring gifts? A glass house that reminds me of how furious I am at Timmy.
And this plaque is twice as good as Dinkelberg's. I should go gloat. Bye!
Now then, did somebody say evil?
There often is this dynamic that Cosmo and Wanda are Timmy's second parents.
Whatever is a boy with fairies to do?
Your parents said no TV, and they left Vicky here to make sure you don't watch it.
Why should I listen to them about anything?
Because they're your parents, then you have to start listening to them. They only want what's best for you, and we're not always going to be around, you know.
But the truth is that Timmy is just as in control of Cosmo and Wanda as they are of Timmy. He commands the wishes, but he also has a set of rules and etiquette to follow. To get out of not watching TV, he wishes to be immersed in the shows around him. For 12 minutes or so into this special, no part feels rushed or stretched out. We have the opening hook that creates curiosity, we have Timmy's main catalyst, we have Vicky playing a great antagonizing role, and we have the reason Timmy wanted to be put into TV in the first place. This feels like it has a lot of effort put into it, and that's what I like about it. So let's play a game. I know I don't know you, but I know you have some interest in media. That's why you're here. So as you go through the review, try to guess how many references you've noticed, and write down the number in the comments below when you're done. Bonus points if you write down how many you noticed the first time you watched this, presumably when you were younger. I will go through every channel as the special goes through them. Timmy gets teleported into this futuristic place where robots run a large part of society. A classic gag is shown, and Timmy watched a cat get murdered. Cats get murdered a lot in Fairly Oddparents. I remember that one time where Jimmy murdered Cosmo in the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. They then go to the land of adventurous toddlers. Really hope everyone gets this one correct at least. Nothing really happens here except, oh no. They then travel to the land of the happy African-American group living in an urban area led by a bigger jolly gentleman popularized through the catchphrase of saying a greeting 3 times. Vicky then tries to barge open the door, with Cosmo having an idea. I know this was dark, but I still to this day laugh at this joke. Cosmo ends up not only getting caught as Timmy watching TV, but also in his underwear. By 2000's logic, you never want to be caught in your underwear. In 2010's logic, you'd probably have someone in your house that's always in their underwear. I guess Cosmo's bright ideas ran out from Power Mad, the other episode where Cosmo had to interact with Vicky while Timmy was in TV. The mysterious man from before ends up stalking Timmy, or Cosmo, whichever really works.
Timmy did what? Turned on your TV as soon as you left. He broke your vase, precious family portrait, torched your piano, and wrote my parents stink and Dinkelberg rules on your living room wall!
Wow, that's just evil. It's not evil in the way that this character is just doing things to be the antagonist. You have to have a deep-rooted hatred of someone to do that much to them over that much time. This was heinous in every way. We then have these group of explorers driving away from this bug robot before Timmy falls into the boat and eventually gets rid of the bug robot. Getting a dangerous gun in the process, he both learns the powers of the remote and wishes himself back into reality. Timmy then learns that when you're older, you tend to lose your fairies. Now back then, it was a totally different picture than what it was now. With the real life movies, if this came out after them, then most of the suspense would be lost. Sure, judging this in the vacuum is one thing, but real life people don't work like that. Admit it, there are some things that you don't like based off of prior experiences. And looking back, Timmy losing his fairies was a big deal to a fan of the show, and although Timmy was 10, he was on the inevitable crawl at the time of losing them. Naturally, Timmy takes this news quite heavily. However, cleverly, the TV was never turned off, and the already mad parents and Vicky stormed their way into their previously barricaded room.
Hey, wait! That's my remote!
Which you deliberately used to disobey us, and then you busted up the house and wrote that lie on the wall!
But it's not my fault! It's Vicky's! She's evil! She's always being mean to me and always getting me into trouble!
Oh? Did she turn on your TV? Did she give you this bazooka?
No.
Then why should we believe anything you say? When I get back from the ammo store, you are in a lot of trouble, young man!
I feel as though this happens a lot. You can tell that although Vicky is clearly bad, Timmy isn't exactly an angel himself. They also bring the line of, "Why should I believe anything you say?" which Timmy used on his parents, that they are now using on Timmy, who is clearly miserable for getting in trouble big time. Vicky gets one more stab in before Timmy runs away. I want to say that this special also uses a lot of characters being in the corners or the sides and popping out from there. I'm assuming this is either to keep costs low or because drawing certain parts would be hard in different perspectives and proportions to other characters because of their wacky cartoon style. Once I saw it, I couldn't go back. But with a few more jokes, this mystery guy looking to stop them, and their parents finding out right after because cartoon timing, Timmy goes into TV. This mysterious man lands in Channel 50, revolving around characters named after sweets. The parodies stop at just showing the reference without pointing out any implications or doing anything with the style, which is fine because Fairly Oddparents is a comedy and it's for kids, but this would have been the best time to poke fun at some of these shows. We get more pet violence, which I don't remember this much violence to pets when I first watched this. And they move on to the comic book-like place full of wacky characters, in which all of their antics and everything about them are all under the name of a nut.
It's the great menorah, Chucky Black!
Oh.
Blah, 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 blah.
No, I didn't hurt him.
Blah, 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 blah.
No, really, he fainted.
Blah, blah.
Do we have to involve the police?
Apparently that's a yes.
There was no way you didn't see him faint. That accusation was near instant. So how about you take your wah looking self to the optician and get your eyes checked. Also, if you need to call the cops on a kid, you honestly have no backbone whatsoever. Also, Cosmo's dance moves should be studied and logged by the Library of Congress for cultural significance. We will never in a million decades have a dance move as great as that. They all go into another channel where they're fighting in space with the space vectors and his army of intergalactic space fighters.
What's perfect about this? I'm a monkey in a mask! Why does a monkey need a secret identity? So nobody knows I'm a monkey? Should my tail have a mask?
Leave the nitpicking to me, Cosmo. but we'll get to you in a second. But anyway, Wanda brings up dangerous weapons again, and Timmy says it's perfectly safe. But if you went to the Butch Hartman School of and then the opposite happens, you would know that it isn't safe. And it isn't, with all three of them being sucked into the empty vacuum that is space.
Oh no! We're in the airless vacuum of space without helmets!
Wanda and I don't have to breathe because we're magic, but you're doomed!
I will go out of my way to find Philip the Nickel and subject him to the most brutal and violent punishments known to man, you green-haired bastard.
Welcome back to Politically Inaccurate Smashdown. Let's prepare to debate. Taxes are too high.
I would totally watch that. Could you imagine the Congress, the House of Representatives, in this giant battle royale to see which laws get enacted? Vicky, because she's not an idiot, realizes that the remote changes things in real life, based off of what happens in the TV. So she yells and smashes the remote twice because Analysis is dead, and ends up getting $1 million and announcing her plans to go to Dictator Week, the same show we saw earlier, and pretty much take over the world. There's one hole in her story. How does she know that what changes in the TV changes reality? So if it's live, it changes real life? Because if it's past tense, how does it change the reality outside of TV if it's not even the same time period? Because if that's the case, when Timmy was in cartoons, that didn't change anything in the real world. Or is Vicky saying that she wants to stay in TV forever and that's it? See, Cosmo, that's how you nitpick correctly. But onto a bigger problem that's not a nitpick at all. You want to know what's a big thing people don't like about this special? After the first few skits, the idea is simple. TV show, something goes wrong, leave, repeat. And a lot of people, even when they saw this the first time, really do find it all repetitive. And I see their point because that's what the second act really is. It was skit after skit, and if you don't find one funny, then you might not find very many of these funny. I wouldn't say that this never happens, but they rarely do jab at the work that they're talking about. You can make an argument that they did on Politically Inaccurate, and when Cosmo was talking about the mask, that Vicky later indirectly agreed on. And Timmy barely escapes from the mysterious person's grasp, and they enter a prehistoric home where they become a modern Stone Age family.
Hey, didn't we already run past that couch, chair, and lamp?
I don't understand. If the cars are powered by feet, shouldn't we just keep running?
They do take very rare jabs at the work that they're in, as parody obviously, but my meta self is thinking that they're disgusted at the lack of quality in the show that they're in. So if you know the cycle from before, the mysterious man comes back and they leave. New TV show about racing with a comic book or manga influence, wash, rinse, repeat. I will give them this. Besides the Walnuts one, this one is really good, but only because they spend a lot of time here. I know that they couldn't do that for every channel. It would take up too much time. And some offer better parody material than others. But still, this one is really good. Also, the mysterious man didn't really need to destroy that car. You jerk. Why can't you be more like Timmy?
Put the shizzle in the fudge nizzle, y'all. The whizzle, for whizzle, snuzzizzle.
Does anybody understand what that dog is saying?
You know, on one hand, I can see what you're saying, but I understand this dog perfectly because of his hand movements. You know, Timmy, for a kid who hates school, you probably need a few more hours. And if you wonder why I'm saying the same thing over and over again, it's because the episode, or TV movie, is giving me the same thing over and over again. And only some of them are funny enough to be excused. So we finally get a break in the cycle when Timmy's parents consult Chester and AJ, not their parents, but the children. Okay. They bring up Vicky being evil, and AJ and Chester get really worried. Even though Vicky is away, she still has control over this household, to the point where even if you say something bad about her, she will know, and you will be shocked. Wow, I do like this scene, because it answers the question of why no other kid could back up Timmy. Plus, they have the time, and they can use a lot more scenes like this. Cheap plug.
Nice try, pal. I'm not afraid of you here. On this show, the good guy always wins.
Don't you understand? I am the good guy.
What? An older version of me? That's impossible. You can't be me. I'm not supposed to get older. Get away from me!
things are finally picking up, with the beginning of the second act being really bogged down with channel after channel, which I'm not sure if this is a legitimate story element or gimmick, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. They really make things interesting here. Tara's voice acting is really great here. Her inflections and voice tone really do set this up to sound distressed, and play up the fact that this mysterious guy was not the true threat that he turned out to be. Although he could have saved the trouble a long time ago, cinematic timing I guess, Vicky also finds Timmy and decides to take him out here, while in television.
My world is ruled by an evil dictator who can't be stopped. I was part of the resistance. I had secretly inserted myself amongst the ranks of her security forces to gain her trust. When word leaked to her about a resistance attempt to travel back in time and change history, I knew I had to be the one to go back. I knew in my heart that that remote is what gave her the power to take over the world. We have to destroy it before she finds it.
What a great backstory. It is simple but effective, and a comedy show really doesn't have to put too much time to develop a complex backstory. It really does fit with how Vicky started. Also, Timmy doesn't really help out his older self and continues to be a nuisance, being very selfish to the people around him, which isn't the worst thing in the world. In fact, it's actually going to set him up to be humble. Remember, movies in which the main character is supposed to be humbled at the end doesn't start the story with the main character being humble and staying humble the entire time. Timmy's parents then consult Vicky's parents because Chester and AJ's parents don't matter, and I do want to say this is pretty funny. I love how instead of pretending that time has passed, Vicky's mom clearly manipulated her watch to make it look like time has passed. I love seeing all the pictures in the background of Vicky being evil when she was a kid, which is weird because in another episode when Vicky was a kid, she was not evil at all, quite the opposite. However, she was wished to be a kid, so it could have just been the magic that changed her. The voice actor of Vicky's mom is so great, by the way. Tootie also finds out, and these photos are odd. Are they photos Tootie took of Timmy, or what? They clearly didn't want to spend any more time on color than they needed to, by the way. Before expressing doubt for a very brief moment, I wonder where that time went. They get a message from a mysterious deep toot. Now they go through a show for young children that was low-key my childhood.
That's a hint! A Clint hint? Now we have a clue as to where Vicky might be!
Cocaine is one hell of a drug.
Wow, you don't see cartoon violence like that anymore.
One of the more memorable parodies. I love this because if you actually know what goes on in this show, which you'll be telling me about in the comments below, it's a very violent show compared to the shows of today. It's pretty funny. Also, I like how the schedule before showed the specific shows that will be coming up. Small things like that are always fun to see and increase the replay value of the special. I'm speeding through these because I would essentially just say the same thing over and over again. It's not really poking too much fun except when it does. This Christmas one's art style is intentionally low quality, but it doesn't make it any easier to look at. I mean, is that Timmy or Fanboy?
I remember opening presents on Christmas morning. I also remember coloring Easter eggs and the time I broke the Dinkelberg's window with my baseball. And Dad was so proud. Man, our parents.
Very conventional moment, and it's pretty fine. It should be the turning point for Timmy. But there is another point that solidifies this change. Also, nice small touch, where Mom is mad at Dad for laughing at the name Deep Toot, and when he whistles the Fairly Oddparents theme song. Deep Toot gives Timmy's parents incriminating evidence that Vicky is the source of why Timmy is misbehaving sometimes. So now they're all in full agreement that Timmy has been sabotaged by the person that they've been paying to babysit him. Timmy's dad grabs Timmy's mother to communicate, and we're off in one of the longest running animated shows ever. This is also pretty clever. They go into this place where puppets are a primary character type. Same thing, different show. They come into this place about 4 animals who do martial arts with a pretty long title. Clever credits and insert jab at the fact that people don't read animation credits. Even though that's true, I don't read any credits, and many kids and many people my age don't either. Many, not all. Timmy gets nearly blasted, but gets saved by older Timmy.
I'm a lot less selfish in the future, aren't I?
It's all part of growing up, kid.
I'm not gonna let her ruin anything else!
I cannot do this justice. So with older Timmy gone and new Timmy motivated and angry towards Vicky, we have the final battle in Maho Mushi, the show that Timmy was an expert in. If Vicky wins, she takes over the world, whether in here or in reality. And if Timmy wins, he gets... Timmy's parents confront Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, and apparently the television network that broadcasts across Dimsdale. They also very surprisingly mention past episodes that Timmy was in, when Doug Dimmadale ponders on if he should help Timmy or not. They sneak into the television booth regardless, while he goes over the moments he had with Timmy. We then get Maho Mushi, which has a great art style, and for one, it seems to be a mesh of many shows. I could be wrong. It has Cards, which is one show. It has Fighting with Energy, which is another show. So I'm not too sure myself without looking it up, of course. Cosmo ends up accidentally shooting energy across two sides of the dome, effectively killing hundreds. But again, Channel Chasers is the Fairly Oddparents movie of blown over murder. Isn't this like the third time? They also changed the cinematography with a lot of new and interesting perspectives, which is a subtle but great change in pace. They start to fight, and it really does feel action-packed. The climax that we're at is met with a few changes that I want to note. One, there seems to be a small but noticeable off-sync behavior. I think I could chalk this up to maybe a reference, maybe. And two, they're both shouting foreign words that also feel like a reference. They clearly were saving a lot of their work for this part because it clearly shows, at least in comparison to the other parodies. Timmy gets the idea that if he grows older, then neither Timmy nor Vicky will have access to the remote. Timmy never unwishes for the remote, but I guess I should count my blessings, because there's always a reason Blank doesn't work in their later seasons. Timmy gets to a point where he doesn't have magic or memory of his fairies, and that allows Timmy to get the upper hand. The fairy cab does also try to attempt to take away Cosmo and Wanda, but Timmy does end up saving them in a very short time frame. He also defeats Vicky, which is great, and Vicky gets violently thrown back into her world, thinking it was all a dream. She also gets alerted that Timmy's parents know everything.
I got a call that said a kid grew up and don't need fairies no more.
Do I look grown up to you?
Nah, but what do I know? All you humans look alike to me.
Can someone get this no-life purple monobrow having racist out of here? I'm not even sure why it's purple. Is your monobrow deprived of oxygen? Because with a nose like that, you'd probably make a hole in our ozone layer. And what's with that on the side of your face? And also, who did your hair? And don't get me started on this arm here. Are those ears on your arm? Because it has the same outline as your ear. So take your 5 o'clock shadow back to the barber so he can do something about your uncoordinated hair game. But getting back to the show, Timmy has his introspective moment where he realizes how important it is to have supportive parents, and they forgive him when he comes back, with the animators using this cool 3D effect, at least for the time.
Vicky, you're fired!
You should have been kinder to Timmy.
You should have been less violent to Timmy.
The only reason I got you guys in the first place is because I had a mean babysitter. I know I'll lose you when I'm older, so I'm not taking any chances until then. If that means a few more years of putting up with Vicky, then it's totally worth it.
He realizes there will be a point where he loses Cosmo and Wanda, and that he only got them because his life was so miserable. It's actually a very touching moment, and it actually shows him being mature and selfless. He decides that if he wants to keep his fairies, he will have to sacrifice a Vicky-free childhood, and does as so.
What are you doing, Timmy?
Vicky got you digging your own grave again?
Wow, that's dark, like really dark. Can you imagine it? It's like raining heavily and Timmy's sobbing while digging his grave, and it's nighttime and it's thundering. Like, that's so grim. He ends up saying that he wants to become a better person for the sanity of people around him. He understands that there are universes where parents are either incompetent or don't exist at all, and he has first-hand experiences with these universes. He also says he doesn't want to make the same mistakes his parents did, which he ends up doing, spoiler alert. A very, very, very late spoiler alert, but when you really think about if it's a mistake or not, you have to think about the result of leaving a bad babysitter with a kid here in Dimsdale. Is that truly a mistake? Fast forward into the future and...
Bye, Tammy! Bye, Tommy!
No! Don't leave! Take us with you!
Like father, like son.
Tell me about
That was Channel Chasers. Before I get into the whole favorites and least favorites that I do with all the TV movies, I have another shout out to Butch Hartman. This time for these original storyboards from 1997. By the way, shout out to 97 Babies, the best year ever. These look super cool, and I'm a big fan of early Fairly Oddparents, and so is Butch. Give this lots of likes, lots of retweets, and tell him I sent you. It is a custom here on the Alpha J show to talk about the best and worst and favorite and least favorite performances of the major characters. This may be a bit more controversial because I don't have that many characters that played a big role, so just know that this was a process of elimination. The best role goes to Vicky. She did a fantastic job coming off not only hated, but really hated to make this special seem important. The way she was in the beginning, getting Timmy in trouble and taking his joy away, leaving him in misery, all the way to her antics at the end, really do set her up to be one of the best antagonists in the Nicktoon realm. The worst would have to go to Wanda only because she didn't do too much. If you've watched my recent and also very long character clash of Modern Patrick versus Modern Cosmo, you'll know that sometimes Cosmo is just Cosmo and Wanda, and vice versa. And what I mean to say is that they act like one person, and they don't have too many moments when their thoughts or actions are different. The same goes here for Cosmo, except he was used a little bit more for comedy. My favorite performance, however, goes to Timmy, clearly because of his journey that he went through. Major shoutouts to the art styles he went through, and Tara herself. If she did the different voices during the phase where Timmy was getting older, she deserves all the props for a marvelous performance. My least favorite, however, would be a tie between Timmy's dad and older Timmy. Timmy's dad was also a comic relief, but he was severely lacking, and because he didn't have enough time to redeem himself, but enough time to establish himself as a major character, he kind of goes in his spot. Older Timmy because he was kind of dull, from the voice acting to the design. This could have been easily passed off as a side character if it wasn't so minutely stylized. You can tell it's older Timmy, but that's about it. I would much rather prefer the all-good brother Timmy had in that one episode. Overall, Channel Chasers is really good to watch. However, like with Wishology, it does feel like they stall for time, but instead of having a lot of characters to deal with, they have this gimmick of different shows to parody. I love how Timmy was throughout the whole ordeal. 2D played an underrated gem in this TV movie. For the most part, the parodies were at least above average, or I guess decent enough, but this isn't perfect. I would say I like this more than Wishology, but Wishology was much better, even with more time. But what do you think of Channel Chasers? Is it as good as you remember, or maybe this is the first time you've seen this? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, make sure to follow me at The Alpha J Show for polls, channel updates, memes, whatever I'm interested in at the moment. Want me to talk about the other Fairly Oddparents TV movies or maybe the latest episode of Blah here? Let me know in the request video that's always in the description below or the card above. If you really like this video, I highly suggest my Fairly Oddparents playlist or this video of Wishology by fellow reviewer Nintendo. He did the first part alone and I joined in on the second and third part. Make sure to subscribe and feel free to consider my Patreon. As always, I hope your time is well spent, and Alpha out.